ukulele back there for Kristin, so should be fun.
Though. She plays the guitar.
No, but it's like a stringed instrument.
We'll act like it's like a miniature guitar with 4 strings.
There you go. So yeah, we're going to talk to Kristin Key, an amazing comedian, when she joins live. Let me just check. I don't think she's on just yet, but she should be going live very soon. And all right. Kristin.
All right. I'm so excited.
Should be fun.
What?
Well, hello. How are you?
This is great. How cool.
Yeah, have you ever done one of these Instagram lives?
Not on Instagram. I've done Instagram lives, but I've never done one with, I've never done it with another person.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we were able to do this then. We're like the first. It's awesome.
Oh my God, it's my first time with another couple. This is so crazy.
Oh, that's so weird, but cool.
Oh my God. I hope I'm doing it right.
Well, I wanted to say thank you so much for joining. You're probably like, why am I on a drum store channel? But we love comedy. We love what you do. And we just wanted to see if we can get you on board for a couple minutes. So thank you so much.
Of course. I love, I play the guitar, I play the banjo, I love music. And the ironic thing is I am the worst at the drums. And I try them almost every time I'm around a set. And every time it's like watching a child try to play the drums.
That's hilarious. We first saw you on Bring the Funny. We totally thought you were Rob, by the way. But how was that experience for you being on that?
It was a robbing experience. It was terrible. No, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was super fun. I met so many cool people on there. I still keep in touch with Audrey Stewart, which I don't think was featured near enough for as funny as that she is. She's hilarious. She's loud. Morgan Jay was the guy that I ended up going out because of, but he's a friend of mine I knew him from before as a musical comedian, so it was nice to get to see him. And Handsome Naked just released a video, Hat No Hat, that I ended up wearing some hats for. So yeah, there's a few of us that we still kind of keep in touch. But the whole experience, I got to hug Chrissy Teigen in a bathroom once on accident.
Really random? Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing a press event before the show came out for they were trying to get, it was like the press event for the show, and they asked me to come and do some stand-up at it. And I was leaving the green room and I went to the bathroom, and as I was coming out, she was coming in, and I was like, Chrissy, and she said, Kristin. And that to me was an invitation to just hug her.
Pretty much.
She hugged me back. And then I just left the ladies' room, as you would after a hug like that. And she smelled so good and was so kind. And then, that was, life-changing.
Inside, you're like, yes.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if you're supposed to, but she wasn't like, don't, she was just as nice as she seems online. So
how was your last cruise?
It was great. It was like 6 days, 7 nights, 14 days on an Air Force base. It was what your fear of a cruise is going to be. It came true. But then, after living through it, it was like, oh, that's not that bad.
Right.
Whatever. It looks worse from the outside. 'Cause people were just like every day sending messages like, oh, are you okay? Oh, we're praying for you. I was like, well, I'm working a puzzle. So
you're like, I'm good over here, just getting some Domino's pizza. I'm good.
Basically, oh man,
that video was hilarious. Yeah.
That was a legitimate response. I did cry just a little bit because it was so unexpected. Because we had been told repeatedly, no, you cannot have food delivered, Kristin. I mean, and because I asked every day, can I please have different food delivered? Because although I am regular, this food is not delicious, and I would like some other food. And they were like, no, you'll eat what we, are kind enough to provide you for free. And then one day, some kind pizza fairy delivered pizza that, I used to work for Domino's, and so I would never order it. But when it shows up hot and ready at your door, you're just like, oh my God. It's like, God smiled at me.
You're like, I get what they're saying with Hot and Ready now. It's so
Yeah,
good.
I know. How do they do it? It's so good.
How did you start comedy? I love watching your videos, and we come on over. This is my wife Susan. She loves you. We both love you. And we saw your last live video at the Nowhere Comedy Club. It was so fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're doing such a good job. Hi Susan, I'm Kristin. Very nice to meet you. I started. Yeah. Oh, hi. Very nice to meet you. There you go. Oh, I touched your boob. So, I started when I was 19, and there was a comedy club that had just opened in my hometown of Amarillo, Texas. And I had been following around a band for a little while from a local town band called the Groobies, and the lead singer of the band is a woman named Susan Gibson, who wrote the song "Wide Open Spaces," and she sold the song to the Dixie Chicks. And so I was such a big fan of this band, and but I secretly had always wanted to be a comedian, and I asked the drummer of the band, hey, how do you know how do I always want to be a comic. Do you know anybody in comedy? He was like, oh, funny you should ask. My brother-in-law just opened a comedy club. So ironic. It was a drummer who actually got me into stand-up kind of. So he put me in touch with the owner of the brand new comedy club there, and I tried my first open mic night the next week. And then I dropped out of college promptly, quit my job as a dishwasher, and I've been doing stand-up ever since.
That's awesome. Yeah, we would love to see you live. We always just miss you, so we'll be sure to see you live soon. What's your next thing coming up? You have some more the social media comedy shows going on?
I do. On Tuesday of this week, I'm going to be on Jen Kober has a weekly comedy show, and that's at jenkober.com. And I think I'm her special guest this week. So I'm going to do, I think it's a short set, like 8 to 10 minutes, something like that, 6 to 8. I don't know. I usually run long, so sorry, Jen. But I'm going to be on there, so you can catch me on that. And she has it's a great show called, I think, Stories for My Dog. So each week she does new material, new stuff, and has on guests. So if you haven't checked out Jen Kober's weekly show, that's on Tuesdays, and I will be on this Tuesday.
Awesome. How do you, as a comedian, I know some days you might just be like, I'm not feeling it today. How do you, drums are the same way when you got a show that night. How do you do that? How do you say, get excited and do the show, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, for me, it's especially with the situation going on right now, I kind of need it.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, sure.
It's a happy place for me.
Yeah.
The further I get away from it, I think the more isolated I get, the worse off I am. And so for me, when I was on the Air Force Base, it was right when the rest of the world was starting to quarantine. And so one of the very first people to reach out was Jen Kober. And she said, I'm thinking of putting together a Zoom show. Would you send in, a clip? And I was like, my first instinct would go, no, jokes aren't going to work. But then I was like, I haven't done a set in 2 weeks maybe. And I was like, I'm just going to do it for the sake of doing it. And I did it, and I was like, okay, that was weird because I couldn't hear any laughs. And then a few days later, someone else was like, I'm doing a show on Zoom. Would you do it? And I just started saying, I'm going to say yes to all, because I don't know the next time I'm going to get on stage. And the first Zoom show I did, when I heard some laughs again, I was like, okay, every time someone asks, I'm going to say yes, because if I have had some the dark days in here, and I think it's one of those, you just trust that the minute that, your name is called, or whatever the song starts, whatever that adrenaline is will kick in, and whatever thoughts are in my brain that are the ones I don't want, those disappear for the times I'm performing. They may come back afterwards, but during a show, that's when it's playtime. And it's I can turn that brain off and just go into what's my material, what's happening in this exact moment, and it makes me feel better, and hopefully it makes someone else feel better, and all that other what's going to happen next year, and will my calendar ever get filled again, and oh my god, and I had to throw out some food, and I'm wasteful, all that goes out the window. I cut my own hair, the back of it looks terrible, That doesn't matter, during a show, and it's I don't know if you guys are the same way, but it's like when you're playing, everything kind of disappears and it feels good.
Oh yeah, it feels great. And just from our perspective, we love comedy. We go to tons of comedy shows. We're down in La Jolla, like we go to La Jolla Comedy Store. But
Oh, nice.
yeah, I love the escape of comedy. Watching, someone like you perform just gives regular people so much joy. So I love what you do, and thank you for doing it.
Oh, of course, and the irregular people, yeah, we need it too.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's some of your like one or two things maybe in comedy that you've been like, wow, this is so amazing. I can't believe this happened. Have you had moments like that?
Well, I mean, anytime like the TV performances are always surreal because like when you see a whole like studio audience and then the camera crews, that's always a big deal. I'm trying to think. Oh, I headlined in Vegas earlier this year, and for me that was a dream come true. Because the shows didn't, they were the same because like the minute you touch your the hand of the microphone, everything's the same. But it's like things like seeing my face on a big marquee on the strip. That to me was like, there's like when I was 19 and I just started, that's the things that I would dream of. And so, when I was driving into town, I probably took 100 pictures of that, because it's not like, oh yeah, cool. It's just like, ah.
I think I remember your Instagram where you're just like, that was so cool. Yeah.
It's still in my camera roll. It's like 4 pages of just pictures of me. Like,
well, congrats to you. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Thanks.
What's some of your inspirations in comedy? Do you have like some people in the past? Do you look at people now? How do you get inspired like through other people? Do you do that, or is it jokes all from you? Or
Absolutely. I would not be in stand-up comedy if it weren't for like I got into it in the 90s. Ellen DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell were both huge influences for me because their careers were on such an influential path. Like Rosie O'Donnell had her talk show and she'd come from stand-up and she was doing something that women just didn't do on television. She was like the first woman to have a very, very successful talk show. At the same time, Ellen came out of the closet, which was unheard of. And that was it, it kind of sparked me coming out of the closet back then, which did not go well. So I kind of took it back and went back in the closet, but still, it was, it paved the way for, I think, for lesbian comedians to be anything ever, and definitely for me to be out and visible now. But just for the sake of female stand-ups, Ellen and Rosie and Paula Poundstone and Wanda Sykes.
I was to say, Sykes is so amazing. Like we love, like Wanda Sykes, Aquafina now, Whitney Cummings, like Gina.
Tig Notaro. Yeah.
Yeah. So many great comedians out right now. So it's awesome. Well, I want to say thank you so much for taking a few minutes and talking to us. It was so fun.
Oh, this is great. I mean, thank you for having me on. This is the very first time I've ever done an interview with a drum shop.
Yay!
Yeah, this is great.
I'm glad we were able to help you out with that.
Oh, man. Thanks.
Yeah. We're going to follow you. Please follow Kristin Key. She's amazing. And we'll definitely follow you. And we'd love to see you live someday. So we'll check your calendar when it comes out again. And we'll definitely go see you. So thank you.
Make it happen. Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Bye. Susan says bye, too.
Bye, Susan. Nice to meet you. All right, bye, guys.
Bye.